Donald Trump's name is all over these files. All over.
The United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it. And the person who is living to provide the evidence, who knows what is going on, is trying to invoke the Fifth to buy her clemency. Donald Trump is not only named thousands of times in the latest release from the Department of Justice, he is named over 38,000 times in the files that were released 2 weeks ago alone. And we know that that only represents half of the files that the Department of Justice has in its possession, including files that were used for direct investigations of perpetrators, people who committed crimes, people who were co-conspirators in those crimes, and individuals who knew of those crimes. We know that there are multiple administration officials, including Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, who served as the appointee for the DOJ efforts in the White House. We know that the Secretary of Navy. We know that Steve Bannon. We know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files.
Well, the conspiracy theory people, we have yet been right. Even though it's been a decade, years later, or so, however long you might have been a conspiracy theorist. Girl, I know everyone knows, but the epilators, we're going to call them the epilator. The epilator, I feel like I got that from somebody, but if I did, girl, I think I got it from Tisa. I think I heard her say it first. But the epilator files have been released to the public, and how the Department of Justice is basically saying is that none of this information is verified as like actual evidence because it has not been presented into court. So it hasn't been proven whether or not it's authentic or not, right? In its form. But girl, if you know, you know, for years, people have been saying a lot of this nefarious stuff has been going on in Hollywood and with the political elites. And so it just kind of gives confirmation of like what people have been saying for well over a decade of what is going on behind closed doors. There's a high possibility that these things are happening behind closed doors. Okay. So a lot of people have been talking about 2016. This is definitely giving 2016 because in 2016 or around that time, that's what a lot of people found out these different code words that the elites were using, right? And so someone took it upon themselves to be a vigilante and go to Comet Pizza. And if you know, you know, took matters of justice into their hands, right?
DC area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support the story? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people. But this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Pizzagate actually comes from the WikiLeaks release of hacked emails from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child come from. Now, to be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses that is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by. So how did a DC pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is that's not true either. What media is ignoring is that the Comet Ping Pong Pizza place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails at least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Alefantis, is a friend of John Podesta. He was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner. Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of. Now, this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now, to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols to express their preference in children. I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle. Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by Alphantis, is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. Two of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, that same boy lover symbol. It's nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a code symbol for boy love. As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alphantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private. But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them. Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for boys years ago. He was referred to by the judge as a serial child. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of in their parents' suburban homes. And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff. Now keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place? That's Reality Check. Let's talk.
All in the name of pizza and other code words that is being used for something more nefarious. And so the FBI has since came out with showing what symbolisms and code words that are used by people that are in these sort of rings or in these sort of circles, right? Like they say things like cheese pizza, pepperoni pizza, hot dogs, and a whole bunch of stuff. And so your president was the one who really kind of brought it to light in 2016 when he was running for his first, I want to say it was his first presidential campaign. And he was like, Hillary Clinton emails and WikiLeaks. And I did a whole video about that with Julian Assange and stuff like that, like 2 years ago. Go check that out. I'll put that up here somewhere so y'all can go check that out. So now 10 years later, we are seeing some of what's in these exhibits, right? And so to me, I don't understand why the Department of Justice has redacted names out, because why are we protecting potential PDF files, right?
That's the point, Miss Pam Bondi. The problem is we have too many old, rich white people trying to hold on to that old system. It needs to collapse, obviously.
The Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI has been.
Okay.
So.
Any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos. Yeah. And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
And so your president is mentioned in the slew of files and epilators. Of course, we know who he was. They were close friends. And they were singing pictures together, him and Melania.
Apparently, Epstein introduced Donald Trump and Melania. That's right, the romantic love story that these two can share with their son Barron is basically an episode of To Catch a Predator. Epstein went to Melania's modeling agency looking for new girls, and that's how he met Melania. And then he brought her to parties, and that's when she met Donald Trump. I really hope they didn't leave that detail out of her new documentary.
Donald Trump's name is all over these files. All over it.
Monday was a big day for lawmakers investigating Jeffrey Epstein because it was the first time that they could view the unredacted Department of Justice Jeffrey Epstein files. And they filed into this building behind me throughout the day to take a look for themselves with their own eyes what these documents have to say.
There's no way that somebody is running $1 billion global for more than a decade, and there are only 2 people committing crimes.
Members came out with a lot of mixed reviews. Congressman Ro Khanna and Congressman Thomas Massie came out and said that they found at least 6 men's names who the Department of Justice redacted that actually could be potential co-conspirators in the Epstein investigation. So that raises a lot of questions. Why were those men's names redacted? They also said that even in this room behind me, where all of the documents are supposed to be unredacted, they found examples of documents that actually had redactions. So another big question there. And Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin came out from viewing the documents and said that he found multiple examples of President Donald Trump's name being redacted.
I saw one conversation between Epstein lawyers and Trump lawyers relating to the 2009 investigation, which had been redacted, and I don't see any particular reason that it should have been.
Girl, it is a mess. Okay, it is a mess, and so people have been asking your president about comments in regards to the Epulator files because he's in the Epulator files. Y'all, the rabbit hole is dark and it goes deep. He's in there, and this news reporter who was like straight up. Like asked him straight face about the Epulator files and things like that. And your president made a response of like, why don't you smile? I've known you for 10 years, da, 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 da. And her response was like, I'm not going to smile when I'm talking about something as serious as say when it comes to young girls and women and things such as that nature.
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned 2 names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
With the fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No. I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors of a sexual abuser.
So there are new questions about what President Donald Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein's inappropriate behavior and when. You may remember I asked the president about this just a few months ago. You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia, who was just 16 at the time?
I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said, if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out.
But now we're learning new information. So buried in the 3 million pages of the Epstein files was this FBI document from 2019. A former Palm Beach police chief who was investigating Epstein said that Donald Trump called him as word got out in the mid-2000s that Epstein was charged with sex crimes. Police Chief Michael Ryder told the FBI years later that Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department to tell him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." President Trump was friends with Epstein for 20 years. He has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. A DOJ official tells us they have no corroborating evidence that President Trump made that call 20 years ago.
And so it's like he's deflecting, right? And so what has since happened with all of this, because like the internet is in a frenzy, people are like going crazy behind this because the thing about it is some people are outraged about it. Some people are like, what can we do about it? Like, so what if this is happening? What can I do to change any of this? Like nothing we can do can change any of this because this is the way of the world, right? So a lot of people are going crazy and a lot of people are traumatized about what they have seen in the files. And so if y'all want to traumatize yourself, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, if you want to go down a whatever, deep dive on all of this, someone did create a website where it's like the Epilators emails. And so it's all or just about all of the emails from the Epilators files and conversations he had with people like Elon Musk and whoever else, right?
Why the fuck did I just come off a live and they told me to type in this jmail.world and I just logged into motherfucking Jeffrey Epstein motherfucking Gmail. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Mad emails with him and Elon Musk, nigga.
And so it's just really interesting that 20 years ago, even 5 years ago or 10 years ago, when we would have had these conversations, it was not believed. I've been a believer when it comes to a good bit of these conspiracies. And mine started when I was in college and I took a class, a poli-sci class, and I read a book by this man named John Perkins called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And that kind of took me down my road of like thinking outside of the box and questioning everything when it comes to politics, right? And then at some point, Hollywood got intertwined. And so the thing is, girl, so where did the epilator come from? Girl, apparently I thought this was AI, but I haven't watched all of it. But he did an interview with Steve Bannon. It's like an hour long. I have not watched it yet. I'm probably going to watch it whenever I have time, and we can come back and chit chat about it, girl.
Is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it.
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money. You're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from a, what are you, class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Was tier 1's the highest and worst?
No, I'm
the lowest.
I'm the lowest.
You're the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you told them,
if I told them
the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself,
said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody who knows
smart?
But nevertheless, so outside of the obvious, right, that was happening, one of the things I want to piece before I say the next part was the name of the Epilators plane, right? The Lolita Express. I had a conversation with someone about this, and I was like, yeah, something. Their name was on the Lolita Express. And so the person in response was like, Really? Like, he named his plane Lolita Express. And one of the things I have not heard anyone talk about or anyone mention is that Lolita is a book written by a Russian American writer, and it's about a 12 or 13-year-old girl who is being fantasized about by older adult age men. And it's a whole thing. And I looked it up, and it really is a book by an author, and it was banned in America. Like, it's a book that's banned in America, and I think they might have turned it into a movie and all of these things. And so no one is talking about that piece, how it was literally an open secret that he thought he was just so clever and so conniving to name it the Lolita Express. How disgusting of a human being is he, right? And so the other piece, right, besides the obvious, like I was about to say, is that it gets a little bit darker. I'm going to put a clip in of what could have possibly, allegedly was going on this island. So y'all just heard that young girl. This is an old video that came out years ago where she was a model, and she was just basically saying, like, this is what's happening behind the scenes besides, like, the obvious of, like, what we were thinking was happening. It gets a lot darker. It gets a lot deeper. If you are not easily traumatized, I would say kind of go down that rabbit hole.
I want to know, when it comes to all these Jeffrey Epstein file things, why no one's talking about the Dr. Phil episode about 8 or 9 years ago. Did you see it? Because I did. I watched it on my TV live with a live audience there. And I have never forgotten about that woman. I think of her often. And as things have progressed, I've always thought back to her and gone, oh my gosh, nothing was even done then. There's like 3 million documents that were recently released on the Jeffrey Epstein files, right? And names are in it and everything. And there's 3+ million more documents to go through. It's going to take years for people to try to build this case and everything. And the reason why they're saying that these people, all of these people, celebrities, athletes, politicians, presidents, CEOs of the biggest corporations in the world have never been formally charged with any of these crimes that are in these documents is because our government agencies couldn't corroborate the story and couldn't verify the information. They were just, anonymous tips and accusations. Well, I'm sorry, but how did Dr. Phil 9 years ago have a woman on here? And he said in his opening credits, and I'm going to include it in here, he said that his team, Dr. Phil's team, verified with government agencies her story and who she was, and that this was actually happening to her. She talks about the islands. She doesn't just talk about the girls. She talks about the young boys that no one's talking about, the infants, her own infants. She was forced into having children, and they were also sold into this industry, because that's what it is. This is the biggest industry in the world. It's not left and right. It's not some religion and another. It's all of them. They're all in cahoots together, and we, through these documents, are seeing that. But what are we prepared to do now that we know their names? She talks about the piece of property that she was flown in on with these other trafficked people, and they were hunted for sport by these people that we know that were paying for entertainment value, right? And we're voting in to create laws and govern over us. She talks about the things that she was forced to do, including murdering people and raping people as a young girl, and she was confused on her role in it because she was forced to do these things. And she says, she sounds like she was at the White House regularly, the Super Bowl. They were walking around, flying in and out, and she was told her entire life that this was her God-given purpose because her parents sold her to this man. And Dr. Phil is saying that he could verify who this man was and that her story is accurate. So why couldn't our government agencies, why are they choosing not to believe these people? But Dr. Phil, the morally superior Dr. Phil could? I want to know, what are we prepared to do? Because this is global, and we can't just ask for names. They're playing in our faces with their names. They don't care, because what are we actually going to do with the information now? What are we prepared to do? I don't have that answer, but here is the opening credits of this. I'm telling you, it always bothered me that he would speak in code about this person and say he could verify. So they've known this is happening, and they've done nothing about it on purpose, because according to her, they're all in on it.
The story you're about to hear is so shocking, so unbelievable, that your mind is going to struggle to allow you to accept that things like this exist. But they do, and they are happening right now all over the world, even in small towns right here in the United States. Kendall's story begins when she was a newborn and her parents sold her to a powerful man who owns a dangerous international sex trafficking organization, a man she says still owns her and wants her back. Kendall says every glamorous event and plane ride was with a wealthy client who paid for her so they could abuse her in ways, well, they're just simply too horrendous to comprehend. Now, for nearly 4 months, we researched Kendall's story, trying to verify its authenticity. And after speaking confidentially to agencies, we were able to confirm that Kendall has, in fact, been trafficked.
I was born into this world of sex trafficking. It's the only life I've ever known. I was given to the man who owns me by my birth parents. My whole life I traveled all over the world and would go to some of the biggest events to meet clients. They were all extremely rich and prominent members of society. He said that all of this was happening because it was God's will, because God made me for this. If I told anybody about what was going on, that nobody would believe me. Some clients own their own island or a big piece of land, and they would buy us just to hunt us.
The comments on this YouTube video from 8 years ago are horrific. It is totally gaslighting this poor woman, saying that it's conspiracy, it's all in her head, she's crazy, she's delusional, that none of this is happening, there's no way any of this is happening. Well, it is. Now we know. So what are we prepared to do? How are we going to make this right? Now that we know the names, that's not good enough, right? Now we know that this has been long-standing, and it is actually not just Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's all of them. So how do we make this right? How do we demand justice? A firing squad? I'm here. I'm here for it. But really, don't bury your head in the sand, because this is absolutely the biggest crime against humanity that the world has ever seen. We are paying these people, we are electing these people, we are entertained by these people, and they don't deserve it. Because it's only a matter of time before you know somebody who is directly affected by something like this, because that's how prevalent it is in our society and in our world, globally, internationally.
Whew, girl, I am of the belief, right, that the epilator, because where did he come from, right? I do truly believe that a lot of these people who have these islands or have these lavish parties are spies. They are spies, and they are blackmailing people. And I'm gonna I brought this up a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna connect the dots, and I'll just use the entertainment industry for an example. So P. Diddy, let's just say P. Diddy was a spy. I have heard rumors that he was speaking with different 3-letter agencies, and he was potentially an informant.
Diddy's former bodyguard tonight, alleging that Diddy was working for the FBI as a confidential informant.
People don't realize this, brother. First and foremost, Puff has been dodging the legal system for years. Puff being, and this is documented, Puff being a CI for an FBI agent. They was taking some papers up to the FBI, so like when they was here in New York. They was taking paperwork up there and stuff like that. Don't know what it was, but later on found out that he was a CI.
Now, Primetime can't confirm this, but if Diddy was an FBI informant, it explains why he was giving a pass to wreak havoc, according to his producer's lawsuit. What Diddy wanted, Diddy got.
I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
All while he was cozying up to Hollywood figures like Harvey Weinstein and becoming a major voice in the Democratic Party.
And so how usually my understanding how the industry works, right, on the conspiracy theory side, allegedly. You know, I don't know how much of allegedly is a way of protection, but whatever. So we just say it for the purposes of these videos, right? Say you go into the music industry, right? You get a record deal and you go viral. Like your first album is grand. It's all over the place, right? And so when it's time for you to really sign a deal with a major record label and they want to lock you in, they give you that advance, they give you all of these things, right? And so you're just living a high life. And so what may happen is you go to a party, you drink something, you eat something, and you don't feel like yourself. And you go out, say if you're a man, and you go out with a young lady, and y'all doing the do. Cameras everywhere, right? And that lady switch positions and a man may come in. They got you on camera with that man, but you're thinking it's a woman, but you're so gone that you thought you were still with a woman. I've heard things like this before. And so what they use is these videos to blackmail you, to get you to do what they want you to do and to push a certain agenda. Whoever these elites that we don't even know the names of. I'm just saying. I think that's how I'm of the belief that's how it may work in some industries. And I'm just using the entertainment industry as an example of how the epilog might have been using these politicians. Whoever is his commander-in-chief that might have had him doing things, right? Because Ghislaine Maxwell, his madam father, Robert Maxwell, who is a citizen, or was when he was alive, a citizen of Israel. And one of the things, right, that's interesting is that he helped write the McGraw-Hill books, which are the books that we use in our K-12 public school system here in America. So I found that really interesting about how all of these different connections and how all of these dots connect, right, from the education system to the entertainment world, and how it all trickled back down to kids, right? And so even Naomi Campbell has been mentioned for doing some strange things.
Relax. I'm here to tell you today what happened. So in December of 2020, Naomi was coming to Nairobi to do some shopping. She was on holiday, but on a remote place. So she was in Nairobi doing shopping. And I texted her and she told me she's in Nairobi. So I was so excited to meet her. She was the first celebrity I was ever going to meet. Guys, I was to the roof. She texted me, she was like, hey, I'm here. She texted me the location. I went directly. I went with my brother. So my brother and I, we met her, we did some shopping. And as we're shopping, she's like, oh, you know, the plane that's taking us back actually has couple more seats. Do you and your brother want to join us on holiday? Hell yes. So I was like, oh, that would be so lovely. But I texted my dad. I said, hey, get the car ready. I'm coming to the house. We are going to the airport in an hour to meet Naomi Campbell so she can take me on vacation. So we go on vacation. We had like a very nice vacation. Naomi took care of me the whole entire time. We were staying on the beach, or doing this, and then like this, that, eating, just having fun, you know, what people do on vacation. And this one time we were on the beach, Naomi was like, oh, you know, we should do a documentary, a film about you living in Kenya. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. She introduced me to a couple of people in Hollywood. It was so lovely. So a couple of people she was on vacation with were coming to Nairobi after the vacation. They were staying at the Kempinski. So I went to see them at the Kempinski when the whole thing was over. So I sat down with them. I was talking to one of them, and one of them was like, oh, it's so, like, how did you meet Naomi? And I was like, oh no, I texted her on Instagram, blah, blah. And she was like, oh yeah, she told us like she made you and she built you and she made your career. And I was like, what? No, that's not what happened. And I was like, you mean like helped me and like promoted me? And she was like, no, like what you have is because of her. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that didn't happen. It is very important you remember that part for later. Okay, so time goes by. March 2022. We have jumped into March 2022. I get a phone call. My phone is ringing. Naomi Campbell. Oh, so I pick up, I'm like, hey sis, like, how are you doing? And she's like, Elsa, how dare you? Oh, so I'm in shock, right? I'm in shock. I don't know what's going on. So I had just So let me tell you what happened, the context of this phone call. So I had just finished the previous year I had done a documentary on my life, about bullying, about growing up with colorism, all these things, about comedy, where I fell in love with comedy. So the film was debuting at Tribeca Film Festival, and someone from Tribeca asked Naomi if she's coming, and Naomi thought the film was the film she had suggested to me on the beach about me leaving Kenya. So I was like, no, that's not what it's about. I tried explaining to her, and then she was like, I'll sue you for the rights of this movie, and I'll win, right? So I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, this is crazy. I'm telling you, it's not about that. So I tell her, let me call you tomorrow. And she asked me, like, why didn't you tell me when I told you at the beach? And I was like, you're Naomi Campbell. Like, I was starstruck. Like, it took me very long to, like, process that moment. And I was like, I'll call you tomorrow. So the next day I had a flight. The flight I was taking from Botswana to Ghana, where I met that guy, actually. That's the time I was taking that flight. So I was supposed to call her the next day, but it was a 22-hour flight, and in Ethiopia, there was no service, so I couldn't call her. So I called her the day after. Immediately, I landed in Ghana. So she's the first person I called. I'm like, hey, blah, blah, like, are you free to talk? And she tells me, you were supposed to call me tomorrow. You were supposed to call me yesterday. You didn't call me yesterday, which she was very right about. And she said, I have the Met Gala. And she was like, this is the last time I'm speaking to you. Have a nice life. And she hung up, which I was very saddened by the situation, right? But I was like, if that's how she truly feels, because I respect people's space. So I was like, if that's how she truly feels, fine, it's okay. So I let it go. So after that, like a few months, things started going very badly for me. Things started going haywire. And I didn't think it was, I thought it was because of the situation, let me not lie. But I was like, also it can be stress. So I was like, let me go. Because also having someone like Naomi Campbell not liking you in the industry is not a good thing. So I went to her, I apologized. I'd already apologized when the situation had happened, but I went and I apologized again and again. I started calling her, I started texting her, and then one day she just texted me and she was like, stop calling me. I have a child to take care of. So after that, I just said, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I started drinking. That's why I even quit alcohol. I started drinking. I started drinking a lot. Yeah. And then, because I wasn't sure why things were going so wrong, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then a few months later, I met Edward Enifo at a party, and Edward Enifo is oh my goodness, he's one of the people I adore the most. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's Edward, I have to go say hi. So I'm like, hey Edward, I'm such a big fan. And he looks at me, he's like, I know you. And then he said something that made me think the situation with Naomi was causing like some of the trials and tribulations I was currently going through. So I was like, you know what, I need to fix this. So I went to one of our mutual friends and I was like, hey, please, can you tell Naomi, because I knew they were going on holiday together. So I was like, hey, can you please tell Naomi to text me? And she was like, yeah, I'll make sure, and blah, blah. So a couple of days went by, and then Naomi finally texted me, and she was like, yeah, I let that go a long time ago. I'm not one to hold a grudge. She sent me a very lovely text. She said, Happy New Year. So after that happened, this was the New Year 2023. So after that happened, every single step I made, every single move I made, I told Naomi. Every single thing I did, I told Naomi. I would breathe. I tell Naomi, whether she would reply or not, I would send her a message because I didn't want what happened to happen again. And after some time, after a few weeks, I called my mom and I was like, this isn't normal. This doesn't feel healthy. It kind of feels, it doesn't feel too nice. There's nothing healthy or normal about this. And I was like, I don't want to be in a situation like this. So after that, I just decided it is healthier for me to completely remove myself from the situation and get myself out. And you remember earlier when I said my friends said, the ones Naomi had introduced me to, when they said, oh, Naomi had made you. You remember when I said that? So I just want to acknowledge that and say that even through all this, right, even through everything that happened, first of all, number one, obviously I played a part in it because I am part of the story. In any situation you are in, you play a part, you play a role, and I had my role, and I apologize for my role. And something else, when she said she made me, I'm not going to speak on that, but I will say that Naomi did give me a lot of credibility, especially when I first entered the industry. She gave me a lot of credibility, and that's not something that I can just say, oh, you know, this happened and Naomi, blah, blah, blah. I can't say that. She did hold me up high, and she introduced me to a lot of people. She made me feel special. She did a lot of things for me. So I wouldn't say she made me, but she did play a big role in a lot of the things that I did in that space during that time. So yeah, me and her, we're not friends, we're not enemies, we're not anything, just not really in association. So we're just...
Have you guys seen this story? She's speaking about her relationship with Naomi Campbell, and she's talking about how she reached out to Naomi Campbell via Instagram. Naomi Campbell pretty much took her under her wing, invited her on a holiday, which we would call in the U.S. a vacation, and a shopping trip and all these things. And then Naomi Campbell suggested to her that they should do some type of documentary, and the girl ended up doing a different documentary. Naomi Campbell called her and threatened to sue her because she felt like it was her idea, so on and so forth. I might have missed a couple of points, but go ahead, watch the video, and then come back and watch this video. So, when I originally seen that video, my first thought is there is so much more to this story that's being left out. And it's no shade to the creator, because it took a lot of courage for her, I'm sure, to even say this in the first place. First things first, Naomi Campbell is known for being a mean girl, per se. Like, we all know what happened with that cell phone. You know what I'm saying? So let's not even act as if she is an angel. But the first thing that came to mind was there's more to this story, right? So guess what? There is more to the story. She tweets about it. She threatened to sue and post screenshots of a time I asked for her help to help me with some older white executives that were trying to sleep with me. I'm now moving on and leaving it in the past. Well, if you are familiar with my content, then you know that says a whole lot. Because we all know that Naomi Campbell, at least people who are supporters of me, you know that Naomi Campbell has had several shady, odd relationships with some shady characters, right? So why would Elsa feel the need to contact Naomi Campbell for assistance with older white executives trying to sleep with her, unless Naomi Campbell knew the older white executives? You get what I'm saying? Something in the milk ain't clean, child. And I believe Elsa 150%, because Naomi Campbell has never been right? Something about her has always been off. Look at these people that she's photographed with. But it's not just about the photographs. It's about the nature of the relationships and the closeness that she has to these people. Very similar to what to Oprah Winfrey and the people that she chooses to be in close contact with. You know what I'm saying? Those people that she chooses to be in her inner circle. What do they have in common?
In my previous video, I spoke about Elsa Majimbo, her strained relationship with Naomi Campbell, and how I believe that she was leaving out portions of the story specifically pertaining to the older white executives that were trying to sleep with her. I talked about how I believe that Naomi Campbell was somehow tied to those older white executives, and in this video, we're going to get into it. In order for this to make sense, we're going to have to take it back to May 31st, 2020, when the cyber activist group Anonymous released a document called The Little Black Book of Jeffrey Epstein. It included a long list of names, including but not limited to Naomi Campbell, Donald Trump, and Chris Tucker. But let's stay focused. Now, before I go any further, I do want to mention that this is mostly alleged, because there has been some convictions after this, but we'll say all alleged for the sake of this video. For educational purposes, here is a screenshot of that document, and as you can see, there is Naomi Campbell's name right here. Not only was Naomi Campbell's name mentioned in the anonymous leak, but she was also listed on the Jeffrey Epstein private flight logs as well. Here's a screenshot of that official document, and here's a close-up of Naomi Campbell's name. Allegedly, Naomi Campbell was listed over 20 times on these flight logs. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in this picture you see Naomi Campbell and a very, very young Jeffrey Epstein trafficking accuser, Virginia Giuffre. Yes, this Virginia, standing next to a Prince Andrew who was also listed on the Epstein flight logs at least twice in February of 1999. Also in the photograph is Ghislaine Maxwell, who we all know is currently serving time for her participation in the Epstein Island trafficking scandal. To bring this all full circle, the reason why I believe Elsa contacted Naomi Campbell in regard to the older white executives trying to sleep with her is because she knew that Naomi Campbell knew those older white executives, and she believed that Naomi Campbell could somehow protect her in that situation. If you're connecting the dots, cool. If you want a part 3, let me know. But yeah, I really feel like this is kind of only the tip of the iceberg. And I've seen a lot of people say in that movie, The Sound of Freedom, the woman who was basically being the madam in that scenario is the role that Naomi Campbell plays. And let's just say that I wholeheartedly agree.
And Naomi Campbell was helping them sexually those young girls to Epstein Island. You can't tell me no different. I just seen the post. It was like, and I wonder how all those girls got to Epstein Island. A whole lot of young victims in Tyra Banks all in the same pictures together. That's crazy. And you got to think, Next Top Model, you got to think about the type of girls that go on that show. It was one girl in specific. Her name was Jeffrey LeRae. I don't know if she was on Top Model or if she just ran in circles and met Tyra. There's a picture with her. I keep saying Tyra. Her and Naomi Campbell. There's a picture with her and Naomi Campbell. Then somehow she ended up at Epstein Island. She make a video talking about how she survived it. And if y'all ever hear this video, it's because somebody killed her. She did not kill herself. Now we think she committed. That's what they're saying now. Then this video come out. Guess who we see her in the picture with? Naomi Campbell. What are we talking about, y'all? Like, what are we really talking about? We need to get everybody that was involved.
So I'll just say this, right? For the purposes of the modeling world. Essentially, what I am just gathering from all of this is that these models, not all of them, but some of them basically are, how can I say this? Like, it is a hub for trafficking, right? In the sense of like, these beautiful women get connected to these rich and powerful men, and these rich and powerful men who has like the most money in the world, like they can just get or have whatever they want, and they pay these models to do whatever they want or to do whatever they want to these models. And the middleman is whoever the middleman that connected these models to these men. And it's not even just girl models, boy models as well, male models. The middleman gets a cut. And so there's a lot of connections with Wes Lexner, who owns Victoria's Secret.
You want more? I'll give you more. And speaking of Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein, what do you know? We got a fresh new Les Wexner, Jeffrey Epstein blind item today. Let's start with the related headlines. Epstein victim accused New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, MIT scientist Marvin Minsky, Victoria's Secret chief Les Wexner, and Senator George Mitchell of trafficking in her latest bombshell document dump. The trove of documents point at the late New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson and former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell. MIT scientist Marvin Minsky and former Victoria's Secret CEO Les Wexner, who has also been frequently cited in connection to Epstein, were also named, and I call Les Wexner the billionaire mastermind behind the whole Epstein operation. It's not Jeffrey Epstein, it's Les Wexner. Was Epstein victim forced to wear Victoria's Secret lingerie for Les Wexner? Okay, so every single woman that's ever been a victim is going to be so pissed off by this blind item. Because the court doesn't want to inadvertently out anyone, it doesn't look like we will get documents related to the boys the dead billionaire pedophile slept with. Those were also the favorite of his biggest benefactor. So Epstein was a bicon, and Les Wexner loves little boys. Allegedly. There's guys, allegedly.
If you're already
too mad about the Epstein files, then do not go down this rabbit hole and just scroll past this video. Les Wexner, whose name was previously in the Epstein files and it was blacked out for 20 plus years. Well, now that name has been shown. They've pulled away the stuff. Les Wexner was the founder of Limited Brands, which was one of the most powerful clothing empires in the world. It owned brands like Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie & Finch, all of the limited stores, and a bunch of other ones that you're all familiar with. And Les Wexner, who is alive today, I believe he's 88, living in like the largest house in Ohio or something like that, a billionaire. He was actually, well, he gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over that entire business empire, all of those stores, the Victoria's Secrets and the Abercrombie and Finches. At one point in time, Jeffrey Epstein was given power of attorney over that entire business empire. Now, why would Wes, why would he do that? Well, I'm not saying that he's guilty of the same crimes as Epstein, although the information looks like that's the case. But I will say, at minimum, he is still alive. How about we grab him and put him on the stand? Hey, by the way, can you grab Bill Gates too and a couple other ones and just ask them questions? Maybe we can just do the little investigation, actually. Unbelievable.
Girl, the conspiracy just goes deep, right? About how Victoria's Secret was initially geared towards women, but then they created Pink, which was like for high school girls, college age girls. It was less expensive. You know, it was seen as more cutesy, more girly, but now it's being geared apparently towards a younger audience or a younger group of girls, right? Now, like our preteens, tweens, right? Who are shopping at Ulta and Sephora and stuff like that. It's just the rabbit hole goes deep when it comes to all of this. It is just the world that we live in, right? It is, the truth is often stranger than fiction, is what we are learning when all of these files continue to come out. My question is, why is there an investigation going on? Like, we know the Appellator is apparently no longer with us, right? He's, you know, because we all heard what happened to him, but there's also conspiracy surrounding, which was apparently in the Appellator's file on the DOJ's website, that days leading up to his, you know, unaliving, I guess for lack of better words, of trying to like be PC on this video, is that a security guard put a Reddit post that he saw him leave in a wheelchair days before. And someone flew a drone over the island about 21 days after his alleged unaliving and saw a man that apparently looked like him on the island.
Hey, by the way, guys, I am not one of these people who has depression or anxiety. So if something happens to me, please let this record show that I'm fine. I'm happy. I love my life. I love what I do. I love my kids. I love my wife. I'm kind of getting scared here, even sharing this. Oh, okay. Sorry. So not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The Trip van did not sign in. Not. Look, he capitalized. Let me zoom in a little more. He capitalized not. Here's the thing. So, I mean, you can tell by the way that he's writing this, he obviously, you know, and this is why a lot of people took it seriously when it first was posted, and since shared all over, but there was no verification. There was no proof that this guy actually was real until now. Anyway, so here's the thing. The Trip van did not, I really apologize. I'm shaking right now. Did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit. Oh, it's creepier and creepier. So did not sign in, did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. And this is what I highlighted. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. Oh my God, the hairs on my arm are just, I'm sorry. I know you guys might think I'm being dramatic. This is really creepy stuff. So here is that same person and that same exact post that I just read for you directly from the anonymous message boarding site called 4chan. So this person has now been identified in the Epstein files. His name is Robert Grijalva. He's an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. He has been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted this, claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening, shackled in a medical wheelchair, while at the same time, an unauthorized Trip van arrived at the prison, which he believes took Epstein away the night before news broke of his death. The day after Epstein's death, U.S. Attorney Geoffrey Berman of the Southern District of New York opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and Citibank for records aiming to uncover Grijalva's identity following the anonymous 4chan post. That's really interesting, is it not? Grijalva's name is not redacted on his bank records included in the Southern District of New York subpoena response from Citibank for his 4chan post, and ties to the same prison officer, Roberto Grijalva, whose statements were released as part of the prison's investigation into Epstein's death. This is huge, you guys. Check out his bank statement. We now have validation that the 4chan post from August 10th, 2019 is a legitimate eyewitness account from an MCC prison guard that Epstein may have been switched out before news broke of his alleged... I have to say that instead of you know what.
So it's just kind of like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was still alive and was just living his best life, right? But then there's also the other parts of the conspiracy where they talk about these people have already been here before. I know, girl, we're getting a little dark. It's getting a little cuckoo in this video, but just stay with me because, girl, I'm up and down the conspiracy and I have been into this type of stuff for years now. But there's belief that these people could basically be modern day vampires. And I'm gonna talk about your boy P. Diddy. It has since came out that, you know, someone who said they were Diddy's blood boy, right? For like about 10 years, they were giving their blood, donating their blood to Diddy, right? So that he can stay youthful. And if y'all heard of, if I don't forget to put it in this video, you know, that is a thing that has been alleged for years with the elites, that this is something that they do.
Hold, you were Puffy's blood boy?
From 2004 to 2014.
Don't think I'm stupid, but what's a blood boy?
So when somebody parties too hard or isn't living right, they want a fresh blood in their system, right? I didn't drink, smoke weed, I didn't eat any pork, none of that. Diddy saw me and he was like, yo, I got a job for you. He was like, I want that blood. And I was like, whoa. And he drops 10 grand on the table.
10 large.
Yeah. He said, I want a pint of your blood right now.
So that was a one-off, or you
No, that was the beginning. I'm a universal donor. He thought I was special. He called me his lucky little blood boy. Every like 3 months, he would fly me down to Miami. And this was the crazy part. He never actually wanted to do it on land. It wasn't legal at that time.
Yeah.
So we would get on a boat and he would take us to what he would call Oconus, outside of the continental United States.
Yeah.
And on his yacht, we would just drain blood. And he would just drain me, dude. Look at him from 2004 to 2014 and tell me if he aged.
Yeah, facts. And he's aging now that he's in prison. He's not all of a sudden Father Time
caught up with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For 9 years, the majority of Puffy was made up with my blood.
And so, but people are believing that these people could have been here before. Like, they have too many doppelgangers, right? Or people that look like them from the past. Like, I've seen these for years, like Jay-Z. That was like the spookiest one, the Jay-Z's, the Eddie Murphy. Like, there's what's that man, Tom Hanks? Girl, who else? Your boy Epauletter. They say he looked like Andrew Jackson. The biggest one that got me was Anne Hathaway, and I believe that's her husband.
One of the most famous leading ladies of all time, Anne Hathaway, has lived before, and she is the reincarnation of one of the most famous leading ladies of the past. There's a massive conspiracy theory that Anne Hathaway's husband, Adam, is the reincarnation of the most famous playwright of all time, William Shakespeare. Because look at how much they look alike. It's very suspicious. And if anyone had the Illuminati power to reincarnate themselves, it's the most famous man of his time. And guess what Shakespeare's wife was named? Anne Hathaway. And this is what she looked like. Look familiar to another Anne Hathaway we know? And here they are all together. The theory goes that they wanted to reincarnate so they can come back and the wife could be famous in this lifetime, maybe so she can act, because women weren't allowed to act in the 1500s. And Anne is very known for her poised, proper, almost old-fashioned way of talking and behaving that rubs some people the wrong way, but maybe it's because she's from a different time. Before I show you the most eerie part of all this, make sure you follow so you finally know the craziest conspiracy theory about each of these celebrities and request who you want to see next. Anne Hathaway was born on the exact day, to the date, of Shakespeare and Anne's 400th wedding anniversary, to the date.
They are not who you think they are, and they have been here a lot longer than you realize. That's Andrew Jackson for the uninitiated. And that is Andrew Jackson's wife. Andrew Jackson's wife and Miss Maxwell. And like I said, they are not who you think they are. But it's not just them. It's all of them. They have been here a lot longer than you realize. That's General Patton. And these are a whole bunch of sports stars. Tom Brady, Larry Hagman, Houdini, Joe Burrow, Mickey Mantle, Christian McCaffrey, Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, H.P. Lovecraft, Michael Phelps, Travis Kelce, the guy who created the Pony Express, Michael Jordan, and Jackie Robinson. It's all of them. Teddy Roosevelt, Robin Williams, who is supposedly dead but is now Uncle Pappy, who literally age reduced to become this guy, young Uncle Pappy, Blair. Viggo Mortensen, Kirk Douglas, Richard and Karen Carpenter, who are literally now Dexter, aka Michael C. Hall, and Celine Dion. The entire cast of Seinfeld, who all used to be other known actors, stars. If you can't see that Kramer used to literally be Dean Martin, well then you should probably get your eyes checked. Do you really think Taylor Swift just resembles the Church of Satan's Zena LaVey that much? No, that's her. Do you really think Hugh Jackman just resembles country singer who died at age 33, Keith Whitley, that much? No, they're the same entity. They're not human. They're fallen angels who have been here all along. That's Rudolph Steiner, who became Keith Whitley, who became Hugh Jackman. That's Dale Earnhardt, who supposedly hit a wall, and that's Morgan Wallen. I don't just speculate on this. I don't just mash faces together and say they're the same. I provide evidence. Evidence like Morgan Wallen having a gaping scar under his right eye. Kind of like, exactly like, Dale Earnhardt, who hit a wall. A wall, Morgan Wallen. They're mocking you, and I'm trying to help you. And it's all of them, even your heroes like Tom Brady with the exact same butt chin as I Dream of Jeannie star Larry Hagman, the exact same lips and nose and forehead wrinkles and hairline. But it's not just the symmetry, folks. I don't speculate. I prove, because even though they can shapeshift, their markings, their scars, their physical markings remain the same, kind of like these two and those two on Larry Hagman and Tom Brady. And they always tell us,
Yes, Julian, watch out, I'm still coming for you. You're getting older and I'm staying the same age. He really is. Look at it. We want to see how you...
Look out, Julian, you're getting older and I'm still staying the same age. And then the other guy says, yes, he is. Funny how his style hasn't changed over the years. They're mocking you. And I'm here trying to help you, show you that you live in a spiritual world run by shape-shifting fallen angels. And as crazy as you might think that sounds, it's Of course, all this is for entertainment purposes. I don't care about liberating humanity from these fallen ones. No, do it for the views. I'm a satire account. Entertainment only.
The rabbit hole goes deep, y'all. It is quite strange, might I add. And so, but truth be told, there's stuff going on. Will we ever totally know the truth? Probably not. I don't think we will always speculate and just like have in our heart of hearts believe this is what's going on. But I don't think they're going to do anything about it. They gave us the information to not do anything with it. Pam Bondi, as hard as she going after Don Lemon and the other journalists and whatever else, she don't seem to have any interest of prosecuting or going after those in the Uploader files. Like, because at this point, I feel like we should have been having answers. It's, we should have had, because when did he apparently be unalived in 2019? We're in 2026. So I don't know. I don't think much is going to come from it. They're going to give us the information and be like, so what are you going to do about this besides just talk about it on the internet? What is your solution? Right? Even though we know the solution is to investigate and to prosecute. Is that going to happen? I don't know, girl. So anyways, let me know what y'all think about all of this. I know this is a little bit different from like our regular videos. But if y'all go way back into the Brittany archives, you'll see I've talked about some of this stuff already and just kind of connect the dots from there. But anyways, you guys, my name is Brittany Janae. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.